Hey, what's up, Tariq?
What up, Reef? How you doing, bro?
Good, man. So, we have this blog coming out about the making of the Agile Clouds Comic, and a lot of people have been, asking us some questions on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram. So we put together some of the questions that some of our kind of, the I guess the followers of the comic, have to ask us about kind of the creative process and how Agile Clouds Comic came about. So I figured, why not do a video so that people could get to see. A lot of people see me on Twitter, see me in other places. You're on Twitter as well, but you need to see the creative genius that draws all this stuff, and we could talk a little bit about
I mean,
just
that
how,
word genius is thrown around. I That's a little bit too
uh,
loosely. I'm
uh,
not a genius. I'm just a guy making a living, buddy. Blue
yeah,
collar worker.
he's being modest. So the first question I have here is, whose idea was the comic series?
Oh,
Um,
well, that kind of answers itself in the beginning. You said idea. So when you start to think about anything like idea, that automatically comes to Tariq Graves. The brains, the look of the project. Uh, and when I found Reef in that food truck, I was like, buddy, you really need to get on the Salesforce. You got the personality of one of those people who probably go far in there. Probably an MVP or Hall of Famer or something like that. Knowing you,
yeah,
and
you
then
saw you saw the potential all along.
yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
I think I could start with that one. So I mean, it's kind of so I've always when I was doing the Salesforce, all the Salesforce stuff, and I always had it in the back of my mind that I did want to do a comic strip. But the only reason I even had that idea in my head is because I know Al Tariq. So me and Al Tariq go way back to, I think we met in 1999, and we did a lot of work together, a lot of creative work. We had a clothing line that we worked on, and so when I met you, Al, and just worked with you, and then the years passed, of course, and when I ended up starting Agile Cloud Consulting, I did want to do something, something new, because there's podcasts out there, there's blogs, there's all kinds of things, but nobody was kind of doing a comic strip. But the only reason that even popped in my mind is because I know you, and I know you would don't, you're the only person that could kind of deliver this in a way which kind of stands out, and is, it just brings together your creativity with the business world, and it really takes like a certain kind of chemistry. So, when I approached you to, come and work with Agile and start working on the comics, you were you accepted, gave you an offer you can't refuse. So, like
I
the Cloud
mean,
Father.
the offer was either continue to toil away my existence for someone else, or to actually get a grip of my own reality and start, working for myself. I mean, I've been, you know me. I've been drawing my entire life, but
Yeah.
I don't typically have the appearance of an artist or the personality of most artists. So I come off a little abrasive to some people, and just I'm an alpha mentality. So working for people, it never really was for me. So I'm just fortunate that I surround myself with the right team and the right friends, and you know, and I'm just I'm blessed every day. I thank God for my people, because together we were able to get a lot further than we were apart.
Definitely.
Um, each one of us have our own unique quirks, our own individual personalities, and that's what makes us work. That's what makes the engine work. So when he approached me to do Agile Clouds, I was already well familiar with the branding that he wanted, because it's our branding. It's our brand. It's been our brand for like what, 15, 16 years now,
Yeah,
probably
and
longer.
and I think brand, yeah, it's just it's just us really. Like we're everything we did was kind of culminated into it just melded together with the business world, and that's what I like, just having kind of a fresh look and the way we approach different things. Um, so the second question we have from some of our followers is, a lot of people want to know like how long does the process take, and can you describe the process? Um, so
Okay,
I think
well,
I think I
okay, you
could
can start.
start.
I start.
Yeah, I could start just by saying how it's, and I could show some of the things, some of the artifacts, and just get them up on my screen here so I could show them. But even starting with the first comic we came out, right? Like there is
Oh, that thing was terrible. Mm.
everyone. Well, you're a perfectionist, so I still.
Not a perfectionist, buddy. A professional. A professional, not a perfectionist.
So,
Difference.
a lot of times, so, one of the things with Agile Clouds is bringing together kind of just the different situations. And I think one of the surprises we had is a lot of people reach out to us and say, we learned so much from the comic just because we put so many business scenarios within the comics, and then, keep it lighthearted as well, and funny, for the different situations. So I think that the process usually starts with, coming up with, just some kind of business scenario, something that I've been in consulting, and I come up with, just a sketch kind of. Well, I don't know if even I could call it a sketch. Actually,
It's a sketch. It's a sketch. Definitely the definition of a sketch.
so.
Not more, not less.
So let me show this out, Tariq, and then maybe you can walk us through how we get from, you know, from point A here to point B.
From this beautifully rendered, comics that you give me. It's
I could,
awesome.
just for the record, I could draw better than this,
Of course, of course.
So this is an example here of, Bob is asking Adam, are we ready for go live? And, Adam does the test, and then he get, all of us have been through this, right? In the Salesforce world, you're ready to push something and you get all those errors. And then, usually one comic leads to another. So you can see here the next week it's alive. And we give it a little clue, more ha ha ha. So you can see, the next week ended up being kind of, I think it was like the Frankenstein theme. But
Oh
from
yeah, the Frankenstein was hot. I enjoyed that one.
but from an art perspective, Tariq, like how does, when I give you, this, right? When I give you this thing on paper and I text it to you, how, and then usually, of course, you'll take, and this one was pretty straightforward, but for a lot of them, I may give you like a script, but then you'll put kind of the flavor into it and add some funny scenes. So can you walk us through that process a little bit?
Well, from the get go, my initial design philosophy is baby food. I try to take anything that you give me and I try to chop it up into such a manner that is digestible upon glance. That makes sense. So, like, you send me a business scenario, and, I try to look at pop culture, what's relevant, what applies to it, and I try to squeeze every little piece of cheese that I possibly can out of that scenario. If there's none there, and the scenario is pretty much straightforward, I try to, convey the message through the entertainment value, through the illustrations, the facial expressions, and so on and so forth. Because it's a delicate balance between both. It's informative, but we also want it to be entertaining.
Yeah.
So I always go in there with that design principle. So most of the stuff you send me is pretty cookie cutter, and I get to imagine pretty unicorns and daffodils and stuff like that. I get to put the art to it.
Yep. And I'm just going through here some on the Cloud site. So if you start from the beginning, you can also see just, as far as the business scenarios, those have always, I always have scenarios, right? Just from my years of experience, and I come up with the scenarios. But as we kind of go through, so the first one, we had the Highlander theme. But as we go through here, so we started with this, kind of this box, right? the 4 layers, and we went through. We did that for a while, and let me just go to. So you can see, I just want to know, how did So you see here
Sure.
when we first started, it was like the 4 panels here, right?
Okay.
And then
Yeah, it was.
as we go, so if you look at the first 2 pages, is all the 4 panels, and then we start getting into, I would say, so I'm trying to see what so the switch happened here around,
25. It was just before 25.
yeah. So let me take a look here at this one. This is 27 actually. So 27, the Peter Coffee. We had kind of Peter Coffee presenting at the user group, and we had this switch here, and then
The switch started, I think, at 25, man.
20, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's what you're the old system. So Connie, old system smash.
Yeah.
So and as you can see, you kind of, we went from, and even at 24, you started, playing a little bit with, the panels, and you could see it just started evolving more and more. So of course the hard.
Well, I mean, in order to explain that, you would have to explain how we came about the comic in the first place.
Now, Tariq, I don't see you on the. I don't see you anymore for some reason.
No?
I see the background, but I don't see you. Some technical difficulties, and it could be just. Let me see if I stop sharing. Yeah, you disappeared.
What the heck?
Oh, there you go.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Out of space.
There you go. The Matrix took you for a second. So sorry, you were saying. So I think from a just from an art perspective, right? Like, how did you, decide to just go in the direction, right? And you played around with it a little bit, right? You see here all the different kinds of panels and different ways. We have the Halloween special. So what made you go in that direction?
Well, I had to switch the format because of restrictions due to the internet platforms.
Okay.
If you want to make sure you get the most bang for your buck when it comes to an image, you have to format it to whatever format you're using it on. So,
Yep.
that's what ended up happening. And plus, we started tossing around the idea of putting these things together as a comic book.
Yeah.
So, the layout is such a way that when it's time to do the comic, I can just put each panel in place and it will never miss a beat,
Yep.
So it's like a two-phone process. It was, it just made common sense to do.
That makes sense. So let me stop sharing here and let's go back to the next question here. So typically that's the process, I think, the other one is how long does the process take? And I would say the full process is usually about a week, right? So we put the comic out on Sundays, which was, a conscious decision on our end to put it out like, just like your traditional Salesforce, your traditional
Sunday comics, Sunday cartoons, just, a little piece of morality that America's missing.
Yeah, and it's light, so we want to put it on a Sunday, right? We don't want to give it to you on your work day. Like, this is something light for you to, enjoy on your day off as you scroll through your feed or whatever.
Yeah, kind of like that feeling of reading a Sunday paper,
Yep.
drinking your tea, just relaxing. There's something there just to lighten the mood of the day.
Yeah, and so I would say the process is about a week. So usually, I'll send one of my crazy drawings to Al Tariq on a Monday, and then, he'll do his magic. He'll usually send me some kind of proof on by the end of the week, and by then, sometimes it's very close to what I send him. Sometimes it's morphed into something a lot better and funnier. We kind of go back and forth, but typically we try to put it out early on Sunday. So I would say the full process takes about a week.
From end to end, it's about a complete week. Depending on how complicated it gets, sometimes they stretch out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Some of the ideas just tend to stretch out. You can't get it all into just one comic. You just have to do like the Cloud Fathers series. Not something that you can just do in one sitting. You just had to lay it out in that sequence.
Yep. Another question here is, what's the inspiration for a new comic idea? So I think that's kind of twofold, right? There's the traditional, the traditional inspiration, which is just business ideas and having fun with them and turning, something that you might do in the Salesforce ecosystem into one of these comics, right? Stuff that we run into every day. And then there's also the fact of, trying to stay up to date with current events, right? So, I know we had something planned, when the whole, George Floyd situation started, and we kind of made a conscious decision that week to, to do the background you have, Tariq, which was, doing a play kind of on Radio Raheem and making Adam, Radio Raheem. So, what are your thoughts on kind of the inspiration and the way we go, from different ideas for different weeks?
Well, I'm a propaganda machine. So I eat, sleep, I consume propaganda. And I can only recreate what's before me. It's got to be contemporary. Like, that was something that was fresh. It was fresh in my mind. It's something that I deal with constantly. Well, not constantly as much anymore, because I moved out of Newark. I live in the suburbs now. It's a much different life. The cops don't wear riot gear when they're walking down the street. So, it was just something that it rang home to me. And, something that we've been talking about for years. We've been saying it for years. And without getting too political into it, I just wanted to, share my vision, just share my view.
Yeah.
And keep people thinking about it. Like, it's not over once the camera is turned off. Like, it didn't just start with George Floyd or anything like that. It's been going on. It's, just the cameras caught it. And the cameras are catching a lot more. And people are starting to pay attention to something that's been going on for years. So it's good. It's good. Yeah. Change is good.
Definitely. And this kind of goes into, this next tough question, which, I don't know if you know this question yet, but I put the questions together from what we've seen, online. And one of the questions that comes from a lot of our followers is, what's your favorite comic? Actually, I think I know the answer to that one already for you.
Design philosophy wise, whatever comic I complete last is my favorite. The last thing I do is always my favorite. I don't hold back.
So at the point of this recording,
and
go to the latest one.
I always try to one-up myself. I always try to do something different. And I always try to make myself better with every comic.
Yep. So I'm just putting up the latest comic here. So this is, as of this recording, this is your favorite right here. Let him eat on premise.
That's the new. Yeah, that's the new favorite.
Yeah, this is a great one. I like the colors. I like, this is a really good one here. Yep.
I set it up, for Renaissance period. So, my color restriction was that color palette. And for the most part, it's a story that's been told 100 times before. Hundreds and thousands over societies throughout creation. It's the same story, and it's going to continue until we listen. The same story until we start to listen and learn. And until we can do that, we're just doing to repeat ourselves. So this is an easy one to do.
Yeah. And so for me, it's a tough one for me, right? Because I love so many of these, just going through here. So I mean, the Cloud Father, that one is the whole series was just, I loved it. The whole Cloud Father and the way we tied just the stuff in Salesforce to, I'm a Godfather fan, so I
enjoyed the most people probably don't know that you did the editing for the little movies, the Cloudfather
Oh
movie,
yeah,
the editions, which I found thoroughly amusing. I thought those were more enjoyable than the
yeah,
comics themselves. They're the pairing with the music and so on and so forth.
yeah.
Oh, it was
Even though
great.
YouTube flagged them immediately for using the music, but I couldn't do it without the music. So
Yeah, it's all
we're
it's
not
all
trying.
in fun.
We're not trying
Not
to
trying
milk
to get
ourselves
rich.
anyway. Yeah.
No, man, I don't want your money.
um,
But actually, I am kind of partial towards one,
which
number
one?
25.
Number 25. Let me go
I am
back.
partial towards number 25. I do enjoy
Uh,
this one.
is number 25? Was that the
That's the Connie one. Yeah,
Connie
that's what
one,
she
right? The
turns
Hawk.
into.
Yeah, yeah.
Hawk, yeah.
Let me go back to that one. Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, this is like one of my favorite ones right here.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is a good
this is that's completely it was completely illustrated too, so everything is like completely vector.
one.
If I want to blow it up to the size of a building, I could.
Another one of my, I know the question was, "What's your favorite?" But
It's
uh,
yeah, it's a tough question.
it's a tough question because I have so many. But let me just see if I could find.
I enjoyed the poem
Uh,
in the
so
Halloween special that we did, like how the whole thing rhymed throughout it. I enjoyed that.
this one was actually one of my favorites too. The parents don't understand one. So,
Yeah,
because you did the whole play off the, parents don't understand video, even the Agile Clouds and the graffiti in the back. So I really like this one. And then just from a Salesforce perspective, right, we can all relate to people not knowing what it is we do. It's like, oh, you
yeah.
work with computers. Um, all right, just one more on my end that I want to bring up because I really love this one too. I loved all of
Oh, the
them, but
Bob Ross one, yeah, that was
the
a
Bob
good
Ross one
one.
was is a classic. You turned Bob into Bob Ross, so the joy of dashboards.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed this one. This was like one of my favorites. Bob Ross taught me how to make those happy little trees and clouds, man. Like, he's an
um,
American treasure.
so the next, and I think this could be our last question here. Well, we may need to do another. We'll do another couple videos in the future. Maybe kind of
Oh, I can answer that question before you even answer it,
what's
before
that?
you even ask it. Yes, I am Captain America.
And I'm Iron Man. So
Yeah.
actually, the question is, we have the Agile Clouds, and everybody loves the Sid, but within Agile Clouds, something popped up in the middle, out of nowhere, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
The
the Nuff
card
Respect
collection.
series. Yeah. So some of the questions are, how did Nuff Respect come about?
Reef called me up and he was like, "Hey, I'm Tariq. You need to pay homage to all these people in the Salesforce ecosystem for doing all the dope stuff that they do." And I was like, "Sure, boss, I'll get right on it."
All right, now how did it really come about? So I don't
We
know if
were
you
in the
remember. I
car.
remember.
We
Yeah, we
was
were in the
driving,
car.
right?
Yeah, we were in the car driving, and that's a lot of kind of the creativity comes about. I think we flow off of each other really well because we've known each other, 20 plus years, and
Yeah.
it's easy for us. But this year, it did pop up one day. Like we do need to kind of pay homage to some of the people that help so many people in the community, and that's how Enough Respect came about. So we started off Enough Respect with show my screen again here. So we had of course
Magnificent
you
Steve Mo.
have to start it with Steve Mo, right? So um, we have the Enough Respect, and these are kind of in the style of the baseball cards with the stats, and the idea here is we have 12 months. We're gonna have 12 legends. We'll probably do a season 2 next year, but these legends that we're adding here, and this is once per month. So we started with Steve Mo. Um, then we went on to Jeff May. So you'll see here every 4 comics, you'll see Enough Respect pop in here. We came, had Jeff May, and each one of these is, So Steve Mo, we didn't go too much off kilter. We kind of used his lightning jacket and the lightning bolt.
I mean, he was already a superhero when you handed him to me. So I would have used the same color scheme in the lightning bolt anyway. I was say, all right, I'll just
Jeff May came in.
cut him off a little bit.
We had Jeff May in February, and Jeff May is kind of the strong man. Then we had, of course, Amy.
Unknown about Steve Mo.
Yep.
Steve Mo actually has an alternate form, and I'm gonna get to that card. I'll release that card, but the alternate Steve Mo.
Okay.
Crazy card, bro.
I didn't even know about this, so
exclusive, brand new, just for you.
Yeah, stuff I don't even know about.
Yeah.
So then we had, Amy Oplinger singing Pop King, which if anybody knows Amy, they know she loves Michael Jackson.
Decided to give her a big, giant, mechanized Michael Jackson that she can control.
Yeah. And then, and let me actually go back one. So kind of what we're doing here is after we do the 3 Nuff respects, then comes the legends, which is what I have from my background, right? And the legends, I love these. This is taking a step back from our regular Agile Clouds, which we didn't mention, but of course our followers know kind of the main cast for Agile Clouds is Adam the admin, Devin the developer, Connie the consultant, and Bob the boss. So kind of people within the company, they work for Overcast Inc. Connie's an outside consultant, and it's their day-to-day lives. But when we get to these, Nuff Respect legends, this is kind of a special treat where we take every 3 Nuff Respect heroes and we put them into a comic. So this is the first one here, which was, Steve Mo, Jeff May, and Amy. Then, we had, of course, David Liu, another legend.
The Sentinel, David Liu.
Yeah, and I know this one was close to your heart because if anybody knows Tariq, he's a huge Captain America fan, and he kind of gave him a little, gave him the shield and.
Yeah, how we going?
David Liu, and make sure we don't, it's not, even though. Some people.
Hey, buddy, come on, man. just come on, all right. Let's not give him any more hints.
Yeah, this is, then we had Joshua as digital nomad. For anybody knows Josh, that's what he calls himself, and I love the way we captured this. And that's the royal we. I love the way Black captured. Tariq captured this. You have the
team, buddy.
Yeah. So you have the zeros and the ones and
binary and circuitry inside. Each one got more complex. It's the same way the comic is. It just everything always evolves with me. I always try to give myself space to grow. I don't want to be the same person day after day and die when I'm 125-year-old say I did the same thing every day. Yeah. I want to broaden my horizons every step. I want to grow into that being that I thought about when I was a kid. Like, what is a man? A man does this and that. I just want to be that guy. I want to stand up for the right thing, do the right things, and when it's not the right thing to do, still do the right thing.
Well, we're now at number 63, Tariq. So it's been, a great journey so far. Can't wait to continue this. I think, it'll be nice. We should do a little bit more of these, of these videos. Maybe, because one thing we didn't get into on this video, which would be nice to get into, are the different, the different series and how. Because the comics, we do have standalone comics, but a lot of them, they tie into each other, right? So we had like the Agile series. We also had the series, the music series.
Highlander.
Right?
Highlander turned into a series.
Highlander. We had Sherlock
Holmes. The Kai turned into a series. The Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
Cloudfather. So it'd be good to do just a couple of short videos, kind of talking about how those came about and what those are about. I think those would be good for the for the people that follow our comic. So thanks again, Al Tariq, for making the time for this, and we'll put this out on the blog, and hopefully you like it. We should have more videos coming up if this is something that the people want. So, anything else before we sign out here?
Just remember, look up to the stars. That's it. That's all I got. Nah, man, just keep doing the good work, Reef, and thanks for all the opportunities that you gave me. You run a wonderful company, and your ideal boss. Do I get that raise now?
Yeah, let me stop recording.
My man.
Thank you.
All right, bro. Later, man.